Welcome into the Wednesday edition of the Pack a Day Podcast. I'm Steve Perhach, joined as always by Dusty Evely. No Sarah Kelleher this week. She is on just a little bye week for her. So Dusty and I are gonna take over. But how you doing, bud?
I'm doing great, man. Listen, we're coming off a victory. We're coming off a victory over the Cowboys. Mike McCarthy's return to Lambeau Field. I'm feeling on top of the world, man. I'm feeling great.
Yeah. What did you think of Mike's coat? How did you think that? Because there's been a lot of talk about Mike's coat. And I was just curious what you thought.
He wore that in Green Bay, right? Like, I feel like he wore that like when it was cold. Like, it looks like a nice warm coat, but man, it's hard to look at it and not be like, boy, that certainly looks like a Vince Lombardi coat.
It did. I mean, he was going after it, but I don't know what your reaction to the game was. I thought it was fun to see this team actually, like we've talked about, get punched in the mouth and actually respond. I really enjoyed that, and it was just, it's an entertaining game, and like we've talked about a bunch of times, that winning solves everything. Like, all of a sudden, there's not as many problems for the Packers now that they're actually winning, because everybody's talking about the playoffs again. So, just tell me, what was some of your takeaways from the game against the Cowboys?
It's just great to see Christian Watson unleashed, man. Like, beyond just the bombs, like some of the stuff he did in the running game, I think he played 86% of snaps, something like that. And this was like what they've been missing on the offense. They haven't been able to get like anyone get off jams, and there's been no speed to beat anyone deep. And you got Christian Watson doing that, and he dropped a couple. But I think he showed good awareness. He showed some of the polish in his route running beyond just the speed, but then that speed, just eye-popping stuff. Some of those crossers across the field, he was 2 steps down the field and outrunning other fast men. Like, they looked very, very slow. So seeing him and what he could give the offense, both pass game and run game, it was amazing seeing that. I hope he's healthy, obviously for the rest of his career would be awesome. But man, just for the rest of the season, I loved seeing him do what he did this past Sunday, because it was just a blast to watch him work.
Yeah, it opens up so much of that offense, having that blazer. And man, like you said, I think you were the one who tweeted it, was like, he's not running, he's gliding when he's doing that. Just huge long strides of steps, and like within 5 steps he's already way past his defender. So if he can really harness the catching of the ball, all of a sudden, and I know that's a big if, and I know everybody, I forget where I saw it, I already heard it was like, well, now that the Packers have a number 1 wide receiver, I was like, whoa, okay. Hold tight. Like, let's calm down for a minute. It's a great game by the kid. That's amazing. That's everything you want from him. Comes back from the drops and makes big plays. Like, that's what you want, and hopefully he continues that. But as far as having a number 1 wide receiver, that ain't it just yet. So, but man, we got a lot to talk about here. So obviously Andy is not here today. He's feeling under weather, so he has Dusty and I to step in. We know nobody liked it the last time that we did it, but we're here again anyway. Don't care. But per all the comments from YouTube, we need to talk about Packers football and only Packers football, no deviating from it this time. So we're going to lock it in now. Today, Amari Rodgers, Kylin Hill, cut from the Packers. What do you think?
Man, both, I don't know. Amari Rodgers, not shocking, but surprising. I've not been shy in my support of him. Not as a punt returner. I never want to see him return a punt again. It was funny because I saw some tweets roll in from Bears Twitter today, and it was like, they might want to take a look at him because he got familiarity with Getsy, and also he's got special teams ability. And like, you guys,
yes, do it.
What kind of ability, guys? So yeah, I never want to see my punt return again. But I liked him. And the comments from LaFleur was something to the effect of like, listen, we wanted to make it work. Like, he's a great kid, hard worker. Everyone loved him. We wish him nothing but the best going forward. It's just, it's a, what do you say, like, production-based business, and we just need to move a different direction. So I was upset because I wanted to see what he would do in the offense, but I get it. And then the funny thing is, Kylin Hill gets released, right? And Hill is a guy that I, as well as a lot of people, had very high hopes for, as far as this kind of slasher guy. This was like if Aaron Jones is gone next year, I hope they lean on Kylin Hill a little bit more. Like, he seems like he has that skill set. The comments from LaFleur, I don't have them directly in front of me, but the comments from LaFleur were basically like, listen, there's an expectation when you're a Green Bay Packer that you come in and essentially work hard and act like you know what you're doing and respect people around you, and sometimes that doesn't work out. So like those two, like Amari Rodgers was, listen, we hated doing it. this sucked. Sometimes just has happened. And Kylin Hill was like, so long, bud. So there's a story behind there that clearly they did not tell the whole story of, but something was going on there with Hill's either attitude or workout stuff or whatever it is in the building, because that was the shocking one to me. It's like, he got snaps a couple weeks ago. Like, he could work as a returner. He could work as a jet guy. So him being gone, like, there has to be something else. And from the comments, there clearly was something else.
Yeah, and I think too, just something to know, because I heard a little bit of Rodgers being interviewed at his locker today and talked about how, it's one of those things, like, it's not just numbers on a piece of paper. Like, these people have like actual human feelings and emotions wrapped up in wanting to play football and, and getting cut like that, because I get it. Everybody was calling for Amari Rodgers' head. We said it before of like, how do you keep trotting this kid out there? Like, maybe he needs a fresh start somewhere else to get his head right, and you wish him the best. But yeah, like, it's great that the Packers have moved on, but still remember there's actually a person behind this transaction, not just thank God he's off the team and trashing him on Twitter.
Well, and by all accounts, like, I don't know about Kylin Hill. I've not heard a whole lot about him as a person. By all accounts, I've not heard a single person ever say a bad word about Amari Rodgers as a human being. Like, by all accounts, like a decent, hardworking guy. So yeah, it sucks.
More news and notes. We've got Randall Cobb coming off the IR. Looks like he should be ready to go for the game against the Titans. Patrick Taylor was signed to the active roster, and then the Packers signed Dede Westbrook, wide receiver with some special teams experience, to the practice squad. So, Dusty, why don't you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, Patrick Taylor coming up, if they let Hill go, like, that makes sense. He was RB3, I think, last year, especially after Hill got injured and he played in preseason. So I'm excited about that. Dede Westbrook, I don't know a whole lot about Tim Ward. I think he was a third-year player out of Old Dominion with Kansas City, limited playing time, I think mainly on the practice squad. Dede Westbrook is intriguing just because I have watched a lot of Oklahoma football for whatever reason. So he was played 5 years in the league, 4 years with Jacksonville, who drafted him in the 4th round in 2017, and 1 year with Minnesota last year. And yeah, he had can't remember how many snaps. Oh, he had 22 punt returns last year. So this is last year. So this is one that to me seems like I wouldn't be shocked with the practice squad stuff if he's elevated, depending. We were joking about this beforehand, Steve. As much as the Amari Rodgers punt return experience was less than ideal, they brought in Nixon, and his first punt return, he caught it. He ran up, caught it over his head, and then eluded a tackle while carrying the ball like a loaf of bread, just held out far. That wasn't fun either. So I don't know how they feel about him.
Well, he didn't run up. He was backpedaling and caught it over his head.
Yeah, no, yeah, that was the whole thing. Was like, oh, someone new. Oh, don't do any of that. So not great. So I wouldn't be shocked if they call Dede Westbrook up just as one of their. So you get the 3 elevations off practice squad. If they elevate him this week, even just like, listen, you're not going to be part of the offense. You catch punts and just see how it goes. That wouldn't shock me a single bit. But he's got some speed to him. I mean, when he came out in the draft, he was, I think, 4.39 out of Oklahoma, kind of a shifty guy. So he probably doesn't fit into the offense. But if you get a guy who's sure-handed as a punt returner, knows what he's doing, can you imagine people like that exist?
Just give me 10 yards. That's all I'm asking.
Just fair catch it and don't muff it. That's all I'm asking. I'm not asking anything at all.
Yeah, no more back-breaking turnovers at a key crucial point that the Packers can't recover from. That would
that's
ideal.
Expecting the world out of your punt returner.
I know 10 yards was a lot. I'm sorry. That's on me. That's on me. All right. So Packers are going to take on the Titans Thursday Night Football. We wanted to take a look at the injury report because normally we don't do that. It's not out, but with a Thursday game, holy God. I don't even know what to say. The list is unbelievably long. Can you walk me through a little bit? Like, I think we said Rasul Douglas popped up. We hadn't seen that one. Aaron Jones is on there with a shin, was limited. Lazard's still on there. Aaron Rodgers is still on there with a thumb.
Enagbari with an ankle.
Enagbari,
is limited.
Watson's still on there with an ankle.
Yeah, that's 2 of the big ones that popped out to me were Watson, who was an ankle, and he was listed. All these are estimations because they didn't practice on Monday, and then there was a walkthrough on Tuesday. Watson was listed as limited on Monday, but full on Tuesday, and then Devontae Wyatt, who left the game briefly, was listed as limited on Monday, and then full on Tuesday. So if you're looking at that, those two guys at least trending well. Watson, I think, turned his ankle and then scored 2 touchdowns after that. So obviously you're hoping for good things for him. But then you had the Elton Jenkins knee did not practice. I assume that's just the lingering knee stuff, like not practicing there. But yeah, it's tough to tell too much from it just because, again, there's no practice. But man, I sent it to you and your response was the same as mine. Like you look at it and you're like just scrolling down. It seems like it's half the team. And it's not just the Packers. It's like a lot of Titans guys are on that list as well.
That's what I was just about to say. Like if you think it's just the Packers, you are incorrect because I think it's almost as many. And there's big names on the list for the Titans as well. I mean, you got Bud Dupree, Caleb Farley, even Derrick Henry's on the list. But that was just a veterans rest day. Amani Hooker.
Tannehill's coming back from the ankle. I don't think he's 100%, so he's been limited.
Yep. Jeffrey Simmons, one of their star defensive tackle. So, I mean, it's kind of all over the place. Like, it's that time of year in the NFL where if you're, like, everybody's dinged up. It's just what percentage you're dinged up to be right now. So, laundry list of people that are injured, things to watch for, but it's probably going to keep going on. The colder it gets, injuries happen even more. So, but with that, Dusty, let's talk a little bit about Packers offense versus the Titans defense, the one thing you're going to be looking for. I'll have you go first, and then I'll kind of, so we give you the big in-depth answer first, and then the fluffy little fun answer after.
Let's do it, man. Yeah, so the Titans are a good defense. I think they're 9th overall, middling against the pass, but number 1 against the run. Now the Packers they went into the Cowboys were 9th against the run. This is per DVOA. Cowboys were 9th against the run per DVOA, and the Packers their entire game plan seemed to be we're going under center. They went under center more last week on the Cowboys than they had all year by like 20%. It was like 52% of their snaps were under center last week. And coming into that game, their lowest one was like 72%, something like that. So I'm wondering if we're going to see the same approach. That's kind of one of the things I'm curious about. Are we going to see the same approach? Because one of the other things the Packers did that they hadn't done too much coming into that game was running into 8-man boxes, specifically with the RPO game. They would kind of audible out of those. A lot of their RPO stuff is pre-snap read. And if there's 8 guys in the box, you just throw the RPO tag. Last week, I think the Cowboys had 18 snaps with an 8-man box. So the Packers ran into it 18 times with an 8-man box and averaged like close to 6 yards per carry or something. And they were doing some nice things with the run game. The offensive line's coming along together. They're doing some nice things with like motioning in a tight end to different kind of attack areas, pulling guards, doing all kinds of really fun stuff to attack specific areas. And it's been working well for them pretty much all year. And it just absolutely destroyed the Cowboys. So against this number 1 Tennessee defense, who likes to load the box, I kind of wonder, again, I think, it's against rushes against 8-man boxes this year, Tennessee is allowing 3.8 yards per carry. So not very good. Again, they average like 6 against the Cowboys, the Packers did. So are we going to see these 8-man boxes? And if we do, are the Packers going to run into them? It's be interesting to see early on if they try to do that. Wouldn't be shocked if they try to do that. And if they don't have success, kind of how that changes their approach. And I mean, part of the change of the approach too is, does Christian Watson just keep rolling, man? Like that's the thing that everyone's looking at. Not only a speed guy, but a guy who at NDSU was a run blocker. And that's one of the things that struck me so much about his game this past week was when he was in the run game, there was stuff that maybe he needs to clean up a little bit, but he never looked lost. He was always where he needed to be. And so if they're committing to the run or committing to the pass, can Watson stay healthy? And do they continue to kind of lean on him as a rookie in like his, 3rd or 4th big game, essentially, with all the games he missed, and have him be, all right, man, you're the number 1, you're the focal point of, blocking against the run and also our deep threat downfield. Do they go with this kind of under center play heavy attack that we saw against the Cowboys? I think that can work if Watson stays healthy, but a lot hinges on that. And I think they're going to try to beat him up a little at the line. He showed he can get off that, but teams been doing that against the Packers all year. So that's a bunch of stuff, Steve. I feel like I read off a bunch of stuff, but yeah, I mean, I'm curious whether this past week was a blip or if they kind of carry that forward, because they were things that were successful against the Cowboys. Can they be successful against the number 1 rush defense in the NFL?
Yeah. I mean, I think on some level we're looking for a lot of the same stuff where I'd kind of read up about like them having the best rush defense. But I mean, they talked a lot about how the Cowboys had a really good rush defense as well. And so they were still able to do some things. But on that note, what I want to watch is the offensive line. and see if they're able to have a good game again, because they played really well against a tough front seven for the Cowboys. I mean, Micah Parsons, I think he only had one pressure in the whole game.
Yeah, they didn't use him too much as a pass rusher, but yeah, he didn't do a whole lot in that aspect of the game. They did a pretty good job against him.
So yeah, I want to make sure, or not make sure, but I want to see if that's something that continues for them, of being able to be successful and keep Aaron Rodgers clean when he does have a wide receiver that can get open. Like, all of a sudden, it makes life a lot easier. So I mean, it felt like for the first time all season that was actually Aaron Rodgers again. Like feeling comfortable in the pocket, making the right read. I mean, that ball to Sammy Watkins that wasn't even open. Like, he just turned around and just hit him in the chest. He's like, oh, wait, there we go. Like, legitimately, it was like a handoff, and there was no other way. So to me, I just want to make sure, I want to see that continues that continuity with the offense. And we've talked about it year over year with this podcast, but stacking successes. And they had a big losing streak, and now you want to see if there's a way that they can continue to let this offense grow.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we were going to scrap this. It looks like we got a little extra time. We switched to prop bets, and of course we did prop bets, and the Packers win. So last week we had the over/under of Aaron Rodgers throwing touchdowns at 1.5, and we know that was an over. So Dusty and I both predicted that correctly. Sarah did not, and she DM'd me that she was very upset about that. And so that means Dusty is now in the lead. He's got 5 correct predictions, I believe.
Yep.
Sarah and I both have 4, so now we're tied for the basement. But I took a look at the Titans offense and what they do. Over the last 5 games, that Derrick Henry is averaging 25.2 carries per game, 123.4 yards. So obviously we all know Derrick Henry is the focal point of their offense. So it's going to be, how many times does he touch the ball? And it's going to be exactly at 25.5 over under for carries, not touches, for carries. So Sarah already did reply to us. So she's going to take the over on 25.5. Dusty, what about you?
Yeah, I'm going to take the under. That's a whole lot. I know we had kind of talked about the numbers have been trending down. Maybe they've been saving him and they're just going to pound him on a short week. I know, with Tannehill coming back off that ankle injury and try to limit him a little bit. But I don't know. I mean, the rushing offense has looked good, and that's kind of what they build that around with the Titans. They're still, I think, middle of the league in terms of, I think they're 16th by DVOA. And the Packers' run defense is bad. So if you're going to beat them, you might want to run at them a little bit. But I don't know. That seems 25.5 seems real high. So I'm gonna pound the under, and then when he comes in with 40 carries, I'm gonna look real dumb.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with the over as well. Just, the rush defense hasn't been great, and so when you've got a guy like Derrick Henry who's 6'4", 240, whatever he is, just an unbelievable beast of a man, I'm gonna feed that dude every single time I can. Especially if it's gonna be cold, snowy, whatever it is, gonna be up in Lambeau. Injured Ryan Tannehill, probably don't want to utilize him too much, and they don't really have weapons on the outside for him to throw to anyway. So yeah, I think I'm going to take the over of Derrick Henry. So there we go. We're going to do that for this week. I did forget that Sarah sent us a message that she wanted read on the podcast for her. So I'm going to try to get myself into a Sarah type of mood, a millennial youth thinking about how living in Florida is so awesome. But yeah, all right. This is directly from Sarah. They say the written word is powerful, so here goes nothing. I truly think I forgot what pure joy and happiness after a Packer win feels like. That was so electric. Christian Watson may be a Hall of Famer. I might go buy a Ford truck or Rudy Ford after Rudy Ford's performance. Loved it. Big shout out to Big B for telling Matt LaFleur and Rodgers to run more and saving this season. This is probably a complete and utter overreaction, but I'll go ahead and be happy in the moment. Go Pack, go. So that is directly from Sarah.
Did you see all the Big B stuff when he was up this past
week?
week?
Yeah, that was awesome. Seeing him give Rodgers the toe picture to sign. That was
he also there's all the news about Randall Cobb. So for those of you who don't know, Big B, huge Packers fan, one of the underage Packers podcasts, he had cancer. I believe has now, I think it's in remission. We had the Make-A-Wish Foundation. He got to spend a day up at Packers practice and told Rodgers to run the ball more, told LaFleur to run the ball more, who then LaFleur talked about that to Rodgers. But Big B also broke the news, talked directly to Randall Cobb, who said 3 days ago, Randall Cobb said, "Oh yeah, I'm going to be back for the Titans game." So all the news came out today. Randall Cobb come back for the Titans game. Big B had this 3 days ago. Just send that guy up there a little more, man. Who knows what we're going to have? Who knows what happens with the team? He's up there every week.
Yeah, and I think I saw a picture of him touching Christian Watson's hand in like the team huddle, and then everybody's crediting him now with the reason that Christian Watson can catch the ball now. So I mean, I think it's mandatory. This kid's got to be up there all the time.
Agreed.
So, all right, we did get a couple of questions. Actually, we got a fair amount of questions on Twitter. Unfortunately, with this being the video podcast, we have to keep it shorter this week. So we're going to hit a couple of them, see what we've got. First one you got from Nick Owens. Is Aaron Jones or Watson more important for the Packers playoff run moving forward? Okay, Nick, that's a bit of confidence there, but not potential playoff run, but just playoff run. Just playoff run. So, Dusty, we all know when there's a question that's meant for you. So tell us what the answer is.
It's man, listen, maybe I'm just riding the high, but it's Christian Watson. I know Aaron Jones is Aaron Jones. I've talked about this 1,000 times before, that if you make the running back the focal point of the offense, your offense can only go so far. And that's no knock on Aaron Jones whatsoever, but that's the margin for errors is a little lower when you become like a run first, run heavy team, but also you just can't stretch the field with a running back if that's your focal point. You've had multiple offenses over the past 10 years try to do it. It can only take you so far. So I'm going to go Watson because we saw some of it. I don't think he's catching 3 touchdowns every single game, but we saw glimpses of it this past week. Man, I don't know. Listen, I said I don't think, but I don't know, Steve. I don't know for sure. His speed opens stuff up underneath for the passing game and the run game. And again, I think what makes him so special, even this early, is his commitment to the run blocking and his ability to do it. That when you have him out there, it's not a key, it's not a tell. You can run to his side. He's going to crack down that safety. He's going to crack down that cornerback. So I think what he does, both in the run game, the threat of his speed on jet stuff, and just even running across the field or running straight down opens so much else up that if he's functioning, I had a long thread on Twitter today. I'm not going to read all the numbers about how the offense has looked on drives that had Christian Watson in it versus not. And that's not the end all be all. That's not the tell all, but it's a stark difference. And I really do think speed like that can change the offense, especially for an offense that doesn't really have anyone else that can do that. So as much as I love Aaron Jones, I think a healthy Christian Watson, I think just changes the way the offense can operate, even if he doesn't catch another pass the rest of the season.
All right. Continuing with the theme of questions for Dusty. Next one is Lights of Vegas. If this is the Packers offense for the rest of the year, do you see them gaining the 2 games they are behind the 49ers to make the playoffs? And what is a good X's and O's book for a preteen?
All right, so the first question we will say, I've not looked at the Niners' schedule, but man, hope springs eternal. So why not? Why can't the Packers make a run? I mean, they have to make up a couple games. That's true. It's not. I mean, the Niners are the team to catch. The season's long. We're 10 weeks in at this point, so the season is getting shorter. So it seems like something that probably is going to have a hard time happening. However, if they operate like they did and the offense can put up in the mid 20s to low 30s, and we know what the defense is capable of doing, yeah, why not? Let's say yes. It seems unlikely that they will, but they're certainly capable of doing it, I will say. So,
crazier things have happened.
Crazier things have happened, and we saw crazier things in 2010. So, listen, who knows? Who knows? But I'm riding the wave for now, and we'll see what happens on Thursday. And good X's and O's books for a preteen. The one I will go with, it's out of print, but you can find it on Amazon used for like $7 or something. It's called the Illustrated NFL Playbook. The description on the cover tells you everything you need to know. It's a small book. It's pro football explained in diagrams, charts, and definitions with insight and comments by Bill Walsh, Sid Gilman, and other NFL experts. It's a really cool book. It's older, I think, mid 80s or something. Walsh died, early 90s, and Gilman was, I think, mid 2000s, if I'm not mistaken. If you don't know Gilman, Sid Gilman, like godfather of the modern passing game. Really great kind of colored diagrams in there of different basically like defining the different things that happen on a field each different position, some of the different schemes you'll look at. It is older, but a lot of that stuff still transfers forward. Universal. I actually gave that book, or I was looking through that book with my 7-year-old the other day, and she had a lot of questions, most of which she could not quite grasp yet, of course. But if you're looking to get into that as a preteen, that's I think a tremendous book to start with, and then you can kind of go from there. But that's one I just found about a year ago, and I mean I've learned stuff from that. I'm just absolutely in love with that book. So it's the Illustrated NFL Playbook.
Nice. All right, let's do last question here since we are getting a little bit closer to time. Our good buddy Brian Harstad always brings some good questions, and he says, with over 3 years together at Pack-A-Day Podcast, what about Sarah Kelleher has changed since the Wednesday podcast started? Oh, boy. Food question. What food would you wish Sarah learned to like? So, Dusty, let's start with you. How has Sarah changed in the last 3 years? How have we corrupted this young?
We talked about this before the show. We both kind of agreed. Like, I think she's just become more cynical, like just a little more world weary. And I'm gonna go ahead and we'll chalk that up to us. I don't know how'd you put it, Steve? She came in bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and we just
came in bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and we just brought her down into the doldrums of being an adult, and like. You're 40. You're yelling at the clouds for stupid shit happening, and that's we brought her down to our level, I think.
Yeah, congratulations, us. We ruined a young life.
Pat ourselves on the back for that one.
I'm quite proud of us. So yeah, I think just more cynical.
But true. But also, you gotta. She's become an adult. Like when she graduated college, and now she has like a real job, and you're like, ooh, I have to do this every day. Like this sucks. And even though we know she likes her job and she enjoys it, it's still it's a different way to live. Yeah, it's adulting.
I still think
sometimes it's annoying.
I still think it's probably our fault if I'm being honest.
Myself.
Yeah. For sure. Putting the vast majority of that on us. And what food I wish she would like. I mean, there's reasons she doesn't eat certain foods. But I'm just gonna go. I want to have a beer with Sarah, so I want Sarah to learn to like beer so that I can drink a beer with Sarah at some point.
That's a good one. I would like to make both of you guys like stuffing.
No,
I know that's with Thanksgiving coming up. It's get the actual good stuff that's in the bird. Like, oh yeah, that's a winner right there. It's good. So
I'm good. Thanks.
I had a feeling that wasn't. I mean, shocking that me saying I would like you guys to like stuffing, and then all of a sudden you're like, no. I'm shocked that didn't work.
Hard pass. Hard pass, dude.
All right, but that's going to do it. Let's wrap things up here with a couple of final thoughts. So got any articles or anything you want to tell the people about?
Yeah, normal stuff for me. Packer Report, I had something about a concept they ran this past week that was kind of a replacement dig off a common concept they use. Cheesehead TV coming out today, I guess. Have a couple. One is a power run that features Christian Watson on a block. So I've got that, and then another one is just a free release on a dig. Got a bunch of videos popping up. I'm hoping today should be coming out. I'm taking a look at like 18 Christian Watson snaps, both in the pass game and run game, to kind of get a bigger picture of kind of how he impacted the game. So I'm actually planning to record that right after we get done here, and then hopefully that'll be out tomorrow. So keep an eye out for that, because it's gonna be a fun one. I'm excited about that.
Nice. Yeah, don't really have too much. Just enjoy the Thursday night football. It's going to be fun. Find something fun to do over the weekend, especially if you don't have Packers football. And and I mean, I would say enjoy the weather, but God, it's awful here in Wisconsin. 3-4 inches of snow, just bad. It's bad. So be safe out there whenever you can. As always, follow us on Twitter at Dusty Evely, at Sarah Kelleher 4, at Steve Perhach, at Pack-A-Day Podcast. Love hearing from you guys. If you ever have, DMs are open if you ever need to talk about anything. So, glad the losing streak's over. Let's hope for another win over the Titans, and we will talk to you guys next week. As always, go Pack, go.